Alright everyone, it's time for the Occult video number 279, The Curse of Tippecanoe, also called Tecumseh's Curse. This is an interesting subject, and I hadn't thought to make a video on it actually, but it was brought up. Several people have messaged me about this fairly recently, about the fact that Joe Biden is the next president in line on this 20-year cycle that's supposedly the result of this particular curse, and it starts with William Henry Harrison. He was elected, of course, in 1840 and died in office. Since then, every president up until Ronald Reagan that was on that 20-year cycle died in office. Of course, you have JFK, you have Garfield, Lincoln, you have 3 assassinations, and then, of course, FDR sort of doesn't fit with it because, of course, it was his 4th term, and of course, his first election was beforehand, elected in 1940, of course. And then after JFK, you actually have Ronald Reagan defeat that curse. It was a big thing. It was literally spoken of at the time. Ronald Reagan, of course, did get shot. Very nearly died. I think didn't the bullet miss his heart by like an inch or something? Of course, the Gipper, it was sort of a sign of American indestructibility. It was literally used for propaganda. And then, of course, George W. Now, George W. actually, and most people don't even remember this, there was an assassination attempt on him. Actually, a person threw a live grenade up on stage with him. It simply didn't go off. He very nearly died. So every single president on this cycle has either died in office or there has been an assassination attempt upon them. Now, here's my take. This is an interesting one. It doesn't figure in Ronald Reagan, so you can look at this as cognitive dissonance as you want. Why would Bush not have died in his attempt? Well, he wasn't elected. He was appointed by the Florida Supreme Court. So it'd be interesting, a statement about the legitimacy of the Biden presidency if he just, sort of wanders off into the wild blue yonder in 4 years, which could happen. My suspicion is he will resign. My suspicion is that because he is clearly demented, he will leave office. Now, does this count? Well, technically not. It's not an assassination attempt, and we're hoping that doesn't happen because all fucking hell will break loose. And it's not death, it's a resignation. It's brain death, I guess. Once you get to the mid-stage of Alzheimer's, you kind of vegetate. You get more and more lost each day. It's not, by the way, fun, and I don't even think that making jokes about Joe Biden's dementia at some point is even appropriate, because actually I've seen a loved one fight Alzheimer's, and it's not fun. That being said, the curse itself, do I believe in it? Not necessarily. Here's the problem. Some of these presidents were in their first, some in the second term, so that throws it off. Several of them did not die in office, Reagan and Bush, despite the assassination attempts. In FDR's case, he's on fucking 4th term. It's kind of all over the place. The idea of this particular curse of Tecumseh, in my opinion, is not necessarily real, but it is an interesting facet of history when you actually look at the years of these elections and what happened to at least the first 6 presidents on the list. 7 presidents, rather. They did all die in office. So, for the curse held true for more than 100 years. And, of course, we're hoping that Biden doesn't keel over. My hope is that Kamala is never the president, because I think that'd be a fucking disaster. So we're hoping that this curse is bullshit. However, when you're approaching 80 years old, you've had several aneurysms, and you do, I think, provably at this point have cognitive problems, specifically dementia, and you're expected to go 4 entire years without at least a major health crisis necessitating your resignation, I think that's a long shot. My belief is that it is very likely that Joe Biden will resign from his position. People will probably invoke this curse at that time. Now, this will be the 3rd time in a row that the president hasn't died in office if that occurs, because, of course, then if he keels over of an aneurysm or something, he's not president anymore. It'd be the 3rd time. Reagan was shot, very nearly died. Remember his vice president coming out saying, "Don't worry, I'm in control of the situation," and people were very upset. It was very much premature. I'm thinking that he thought Reagan was less likely to live than people were hoping. And then Bush, I guess, again, you can claim Bush wasn't technically elected at all, but then Gore didn't die in office either, because he's not in office and he's still alive. He's alive insofar as a vapid hypocrite with brain damage is capable of being alive. So it's just an interesting topic. You can look into the backstory of it if you want. I just wanted to point out, though, my lack generally of belief in the idea of the Curse of Tippecanoe, specifically because you have to tie yourself in pretzel knots in order to actually make some of the dates line up, and in 2 of the cases, you don't have a death in office. Sort of throws off the whole idea. But 7 out of 9, that's reasonable accuracy. It's better than psychics. Oh, by the way, actually, that is another interesting thing. Despite their outward appearance as being like a very traditional, somewhat, quasi-religious couple standing for American apple pie, Nancy Reagan, Ronald Reagan's wife, actually, she hired astrologers and magicians and I think Edward Casey, if I remember correctly, and prophets and all sorts of people to try to protect Ronald Reagan. And she would literally do like zodiacal shit and not let him fucking go to events if the zodiac, like the planets were aligned the wrong way. If she thought that there was any cosmic threat to old Ronnie, she'd go nuts. She was definitely an imperial first lady in many ways, sort of like Michelle Obama in some cases, and apparently worked. I guess the occultists, she defeated the Curse of Tippecanoe. And then after having broken the curse, of course, W didn't die. And it is kind of odd that a live grenade is thrown up at you and it just happens to be the one dud out of 1,000. A little bit beyond the realm of chance, maybe. So Biden probably has like a court wizard or something like that. He's got his own Gandalf protecting him or some shit like that. That'd be so funny if it comes out, they're like, oh yeah, Jill Biden started, she went to voodoo ceremonies and dancing around naked with like a dead chicken and stuff like that. I wouldn't put it past her. She seems like a bizarre person, too. That's about all. Peace out.